ni wapi utapata chama kama hiyo?
Hakuna.
Hiyo chama iko na viongozi na iko na structures zote.
Uza sera kabisa.
Iko na structures zote. Vijana wamekubaliwa kufanya mambo yao. And to drive the agenda of the party and the agenda of an entire generation. Nadhani ni mchezo bwana. Si mchezo.
Tutapatana 2027 sijali. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, the viewers of Ebenezer YouTube channel and the Maige's YouTube channel. Thank you so much for subscribing to our channels. By the way, we are very, very grateful. Thank you for the milestone. Thank you for liking our videos, commenting, and telling us maybe what you would want us to do. We are here at Bureria Smart Gardens, a garden that is just off Kiambu town, a garden that you can host any kind of event, may it be a wedding reception, baby shower, birthday parties, any kind of event. In case you have an event or you know somebody who is looking for a reception crowd, book with us on 0728 593 543, 0728 593 543. And just like we agreed, we'll always bring you stories to inspire you, to educate you, and to entertain you. And today our cameras have rolled all the way to Nairobi. Sijui kama ni Nairobi, NARK Kenya offices, and we have with us the youth president or the youth chairman NARK Kenya. Wacha atusalimie, atuambie yeye ni nani. Good.
Viewers, naitwa kwa majina, naitwa Ngugi Ndegwa, national chairperson NARK Kenya party, and I'm glad to be here.
Good.
Yes.
Maybe for someone who is watching you for the first time, unaweza waambia who you are, where you come from, na umefika aje kwa hiyo cheo. Is it a cheo?
Tunaweza sema hivyo. Kwanza kabisa niseme kwetu ni Kiambu. I'm from Kiambu County, Lari constituency, Nyandoma ward. I don't know what else. Na pia mimi ni Mkenya na pia mimi nimetoka Afrika. Kwa hivyo sasa anyway, in a nutshell, mimi ni wa Lari constituency. Lari constituency iko katika Kiambu County, katikati ya Limuru constituency, Kikuyu constituency, na Githunguri constituency, and also bordering Kinangop, which is Nyandarua County.
Good.
Yes.
Now, maybe before we come to Ngugi, our youth president, maybe you can remind these people from our previous video. We told them that you are an author. You can remind them about your books, then we kick off.
Also, I do writing. I'm a satirical writer. An author of 2 books, one called Across and Beyond, a poetry collection, and another one called The Spear, a satirical work around issues of politics and other social issues affecting Africans in Africa. Kwa hivyo, kwa kifupi, we are Africans and Africa is our business.
Kweli. Okay, thank you so much. Now, coming to Ngugi, the youth chairperson, who is the youth president? What are your roles? There
are various roles, but one that is conspicuously important is mobilizing young people for and on behalf of the party, and also helping in matters of civic education where needed, and generally helping the party to put forward its agenda for the people. And the agenda of the NARK Kenya party is social democracy. So we are a party that believes in social democracy, which means we are social democrats, which means we also believe in social justice and other pillars of social democracy, including freedom in freedom of market, such things. Yes.
And now, Ngugi, as the youth president, how do you reach to these youths? What are some of the programs that you people have?
As the NARK Kenya Youth League, some of the programs that we have include revitalization of the youth league across all counties in the country, which means now we are in the process of working on how to revitalize the NARK Kenya party through its youth league, because the youth league is an important and one of the major pillars of the party, to ensure that branches are revitalized and that the youth in these branches, and by branches I mean counties, are able to understand their rights and are able to ask for what they need to be done from the government. And an important part of it, of this entire program, or one of the important programs, is youth-led accountability, which means that we are educating the youth to understand that isi ile ya kitambo ati ukichagua mtu unangoja tu afanye ile kitu anataka kufanya, that now we can be able to take their manifestos, kwa sababu walituambia, they give us their promises, we compare with what they are doing on the ground, and understand whether for the past maybe 1 year since their election, or several months, they have been able to achieve what they promised, or they have started achieving what they promised the youth in their various maybe constituencies or counties. So currently that is ongoing in Nakuru, where we are looking at areas where the youth can benefit from their county governments, regardless of whether they voted those people or not, because now we are past it. And so basically what my leadership and of those we serve with is trying to do is to ensure that we realize as a generation that it does not end at elections, that we must go now further and understand that now after elections, hii maneno ya nilipigia fulani kura inaisha, na kama ni kuumia tunaumia pamoja. Sasa tujue it's upon us, sasa tujue whether tunataka kuumia or tunataka to keep them on their toes and to keep checking them whether or not you voted them, because hii kazi ya kucheck si ya opposition peke yake. Even those who voted these county governments and even the central government, they need to keep checking these governments to understand kama ile mambo ilikuwa wanataka kutoka kwao, ile iliwafanya wawapigie kura, inafanyika. Yes.
And now I'm very sure we cannot separate NARK Kenya from Azimio. Is it true?
As a party, the NARK Kenya party is a member, or is under the umbrella of the Azimio coalition. That goes without saying.
So you are one big family.
Yes. It is a family of many brothers and many sisters.
And now you've told us that elections are gone. It is now time to work.
Yes.
But on the other hand, naona your leader uko akiambia watu that it's not yet done, that kiliibiwa. How comes you are telling us that elections is done, na huko nje tunawaona mkisema bado mnaangalia hiyo maneno?
By my party leader you mean Honorable Mother Karua?
I mean Raila Odinga.
No, I wouldn't say that my party leader is Honorable Raila Odinga. I only know of one party leader, and that is why I'm the chairperson of the NARK Kenya, underline NARK Kenya party, youth league, and not the Azimio youth. So kwangu pia mimi, I only know that I only have one party leader.
Are you answering my question?
I only have one party leader. Na hajaongea bado, na kama ameongea sijasikia.
Okay. That's a good one. Okay, I will still go back to Azimio and ask. You've told us that you, as the NARK Kenya youth president, you're going county to county, talking to the youth. And I've also seen something else, that the Azimio going round county to county, something called the People's Baraza. What does it entail?
Historically, the barazas are meant maybe to educate and to give civic education to the people, and maybe to inform the people what they might not be in the know, or to mobilize them for a cause. I'm yet to understand the cause the course being driven, because I think goalposts keep changing all the time. So I'm still struggling to understand the course. Yes, I'm still struggling.
The course for the People's Baraza.
Yes, so this particular one, I've understood the rest, which have been happening historically. But as for this particular one, I'm still struggling to understand, because the goalpost is changing. Yeah, basically that is what I would say.
Okay.
Kwa sababu naona kuna wakati ilisemekana president atambuliki, and the next one nikaona imesemekana ultimatum imepatiwana kwa government. Kwa hivyo sasa sijui ni government gani imepewa ultimatum.
Acha tuseme tu just like you said, the elections imeisha. And now you being the youth president, I think you are the best advocate for the youth.
Yes.
Na unajua youth, mostly tunapotelea mahali tunaona maybe tuta save something, ama mahali maybe we can get things cheaper. Kuna hii issue that happened last week, I think last week or early this week, about this China Square. Na hiyo place it seems ni kama ilikuwa inasaidia youth sana. What's your say about the closure of that?
One, this issue, I don't know whether to say that it has been blown out of proportion or what, but one underlying fact is that there is need for us to do something, as not only as Kenyans but also as Africans, because it cannot be that the Chinese people or China will manufacture, then export to us, and then become the wholesaler, and at the same time become the retailer, almost becoming the consumer. So now swali ni moja, what is the role of the Kenyan citizen as pertains to all this, and the arrangement between China, the Chinese people in business and in trade with Kenya, if there is any arrangement, because it cannot be that Kenyans can only consume. So there must be limits to this. And when we started, I said our party, the NARK Kenya party, it believes in social democracy. And one of these things is to believe in the issue of a free market. But this free market also has limits, because it is the role of the government to regulate. The government must regulate at various points to ensure that there is the protection of the consumer, as well as the protection of the retailer or the trader. And in this case, well, the consumer might be benefiting because of the cheap prices of goods in this China Square, but we need to understand that there is need for balance, to strike a balance, to understand that there is also need to protect the local trader so that they are able to gain something. Tunasema uchumi ni mbaya because of some of these things. Because we even not only Kenya, but Africa by large, or generally Africa, most of these countries have gotten too much into too much dalliance with foreigners, to a point of the countries benefiting, almost not benefiting from these arrangements. So I think one, the issue of the China Square is an issue that can be solved soberly by the government, so that they ensure they do not strain the relations between Kenya and China, and also in future other foreign countries, and also to ensure that those who are trading in Kenya benefit while trading at fair prices that can benefit the consumer. Kwa sababu shida moja ni kwamba kama mimi naweza enda huko kwa Mchina na nipate kitu cheap, why not go as a consumer? Mbona niteseke nikisema ati I want to buy from what is made in Kenya? If we want to improve this, then we must make it fair for all. Make it fair for the trader, so that there is no unfair competition, and that must be done, because unfair competition is killing trade in Kenya. inachafua market. So it is almost impossible for small businesses or even medium enterprises to benefit. And for those who want to consume like myself, we also need something that we can say is affordable to us. Kwa hivyo, as we work our way, as Honorable Moses Kuria is saying, towards Kenya made goods, it is important to ensure that kila kitu inaangaliwa bila kukuwa na mambo ya siasa ya chini chini, kwa sababu hiyo siasa ya chini chini ndio inaharibu. Moses Kuria is saying a very important thing, that we need to manufacture. And I agree with him because of one, shida zingine ambazo tuna face kama imposition of agenda, hatungekuwa tunasukumiliwa. Kama we were independent, hatungekuwa tunasumbuliwa. So economic liberation starts where Moses Kuria is saying, but isifanywe kwa fujo, and we should not stray in our relations with others. Tujenge Kenya, tununue Kenya, and ensure that everyone mambo yake imeangaliwa. All stakeholders wameangaliwa. Yes.
Maybe you are at a good position to answer these questions. Who owns China Square?
Well, I'm not sure because that can only be answered by maybe Ministry of Trade, which is under Moses Kuria, because it is one thing to say what we have in the news, but it is also another thing to understand the real thing, kwa sababu hii mambo ni siasa ya chini chini. Naweza sema because sasa kama juzi nimesikia, well, I'm not sure because again you cannot always trust what is in the media, but juzi nimesikia kwamba hiyo sasa ni fununu. Nimesikia kwamba kuna 99% ownership by a Kenyan.
That's why
who is not known. Sasa ukisikia hiyo sasa, si unajua hiyo mambo ni mambo ya wakubwa.
Na ni China Square.
Na ni China Square. Sasa hapo mambo ni ngumu kidogo.
Okay. Sawa. Maybe back
so I think that can only, that's why I said it is only the government which can clearly say that, because one, they should have the records of how this was registered, kwa sababu si ilipitia kwa mikono yao. They should be able to know who is the business owner and shareholders ni akina nani, such things.
Sawa basi. Maybe back to the youth. Since you got into that position of the youth president, how are things kwa ground, mambo iko aje? Are the youth responding ama huko chini kuko aje?
Particularly this year, and not even this year, as from 2022, and I believe this has been an upward trajectory. The response is good compared to other times. And this is majorly because the youth in Kenya are finally realizing their role. They are finally realizing, well, now it doesn't have to be that we are the leaders of tomorrow. We are the leaders of today, and that can be clearly seen in the role of the youth in the election, not as the voter, but as a contender. The number of those who vied this time was conspicuously high. And even managing getting most of these seats, particularly in my party, there was a total of more than 40 youth or young people. And when I say young people, I mean between the age of 18 and 35. So that is a youth in good standing who were able to contend for these seats higher than any other party in the history of this country. Whether or not they got the seats, that is a story
was my next question.
No, that is a story for another day. But the fact is, as serious contenders, the youth participated. But there is a worrying concern in regards to the role of the youth as a voter, because in a clear opposite of what I have said, the role of the youth as a voter was conspicuously low. There was a lot of apathy among the youth. Hawakutokea kupiga kura. 39% of the voters, hiyo ndio attributable to the youth. which is a contrast from 70% of the entire population. Meaning 70% ya entire population ni youth, but ikifika wakati ya kupiga kura only 39% wa registered voters ama walitokea kupiga kura. Sasa si unaona hapo na youth venye tumepiga kelele hapa nje venye ni mbaya.
And what do you think could be the cause? Walikuwa wapi?
Hapa the shida main problem in my view is people are tired. And in 2022 particularly people were tired kwa sababu particularly the former administration ilikuwa there were some issues that were not adding up. Even including the impossibility of running small and medium enterprises in this country, especially 2022 going backwards and even now. So these hardships and high rates of unemployment with also conspicuous high rates of employability because mayouth wamesoma but hawapati kazi. So watu wamejaza madegree huko nje. SMEs ndio hizo zinaanguka tu biashara tudogo. Mtu kijana anaweka ya smoky hapo na inachomeka. Anaweka ingine ya kaduka kadogo ka kiosk kanachomeka, kaleti kitu. So I think hii kuchoka and the arrogance with which even the former administration maybe brought out itself or represented itself, watu walichoka. And I was saying somewhere that even as the campaigns were ongoing, there are some of these officials of the former regime who were on and on kept on saying that hata msipo, especially in Mount Kenya, hata msipopiga kura si serikali mnajua mahali iko. Kwa hivyo hata msipo nimpige kura ndio msaidie. So I think that communication may have maybe communicated the wrong message to the youth that it doesn't matter whether you vote or not. Mtu fulani akiamua ni hivyo. So why go and vote? So I think those are some of the things maybe zilifanya watu wasitokee kupiga kura. And also lack of civic education. Kwa sababu hii drive ya registration sioni kama ilifanywa as vigorously.
So Mr. Ngugi, you've told us that the youth, out of the 70%, the youth make 70% of the Kenyan population.
Yes.
And out of the 70%, only slightly above a half walitokea kuvote.
Yes.
You've given us your reasons or maybe what you think caused that. What do you think about the youth and drug consumption? And if where you have the youth at heart, what do you do for such cases?
One thing is that it is a shame that we have to even discuss such matters as the effect of drugs among the youth, because one, it is systemic, and when I say it is systemic, is that it has been entrenched so deep that inakaa ni kama there are forces that push issues of drugs, pombe, with interest, of course, to the youth. But be as it may, it is important that we find solutions to issues of drug abuse and use of alcohol, especially among the youth. And one way to do that is through increasing the rates of employment. Kwa sababu vijana wengi wanakunywa out of frustration. Wanakunywa maybe to feel better about themselves or their situation. But it also doesn't help that ile pombe wanakunywa wanapatana nayo huko ni hii pombe ya inaitwa second generation. Hii pombe mbaya. You know, it is one thing wale wakubwa wanakunywa kawaini pale, and it is another thing that because of its affordability and their situation ile wanaweza afford ni hiyo mbaya. There are many ways that we can deal with that, and one way is to keep engaging the youth to understand their role in development. it. And that is what the program on youth-led accountability in branches by the NARK Kenya Youth League partly will address, so that we are able to reach out to these young people, devoid of party affiliations, to be able to reach out to them on their own level, to understand, not as Nakuru youths or Kiambu youths, but a tailor-made approach for the youths kwenye wako uko mashinani, whether wako Nakuru ama Kiambu ama wherever they are, ama Nyeri ama Lamu, so that they are able to provide the problems, to understand themselves the problem that they face, and to understand by themselves the solutions that they need. Sio zile solutions zinaweza tumika Nakuru ati zitumike Lamu ama zitumike Kiambu, hapana. So that through this program we are able to hear them out, and they are able also to hear themselves out, to understand what areas they need to involve themselves actively as our generation, na hiyo generation ambayo imetufuata hii inaitwa Gen Z, waweze wao wenyewe to solve their problems. And one way to solve it is to go all out, kupigana, kufanya vita dhidi ya pombe na drug abuse, because it is only them who can do it. You see what was done with the community policing to ensure that the people themselves find a solution to insecurity, if that is able to be applied, so that the youth themselves, we ourselves, are able, not someone from outside, sisi wenyewe, we are able to understand our problem, tuseme hapa ni ukweli, hapa kuna shida ya drug abuse, watu wanakula cocaine sana, wengine wanavuta bangi sana, wengine wanakunywa pombe sana. Tujue kwa sababu ni vijana wanafanya hiyo, ni nini inaweza fanywa huko Mathare kwa slums, ni nini tunaweza fanya. And there are many things they do. Wanafanya mambo ya entertainment industry, wanafanya mambo ya sports. There are so many things they can do. Yes.
Na wewe umeanza kufanya ama you as the NARK Kenya, now that you are not in the government, mnafanya hizo vitu ama mtangojea maybe after the 5 years sasa ndio mu implement?
No, that is why I'm saying that through this program, youth-led accountability in branches, it is already in progress.
Okay.
The Nakuru people, for instance, where the revitalization has already begun, they were able to meet and to talk about the issues that affect their county. And one of those issues became, or one of those issues was alcohol and drug abuse, among others like insecurity, ambapo vijana wanaambiwa wao ndio wezi. So it is ongoing. Through the solutions that they found, now they are able and they will be able going forward to address them. Mahali wanaona serikali haitajiki kama kwa drug abuse, hapa kwa pombe serikali haitajiki, hata chief haitajiki. Chief amekuwa akijaribu but still it is there. So wale wako na hiyo solution ni wao wenyewe waende na ama tuende tuambie vijana wenzetu, hii haitasaidia, hii wacha, hapa turekebishe namna hii. Yes.
Okay.
Na mahali pia inahitaji mass action, kwa sababu that's why tuko inafaa mahali, unaona hata mahali panahitajika mass action, kujua hii inahitaji another approach that will attract the government and that will attract other stakeholders.
Explain to us that mass action. You know mass action tumezoea ya youth. We. Explain to that mass action. Usifikirie unaambia vijana maybe watokee.
You know, people can also protest, and it is one way to solve issues. Ukiona mahali ambapo inakwama kidogo, unasema hapa, our leadership, the leadership in our area is not doing this correctly, and we would love to attract their attention towards this, kwa sababu sisi tumejaribu, tumeenda tumeongelesha vijana hapa maybe Landmawe, ama tumeenda huko Langas, ama tumeenda ni wapi Nakuru, ni wapi kwingine tunaweza sema, tumeenda Bahati, ama tumeenda ama tumeenda Langalanga. Na after kwenda huko, that is now I'm speaking kama sasa venye wao wangesema, waseme pengine tulienda na tukaongelesha youth wawache. Lakini hata after kuongelesha, bado yule mtu alikuwa anauza bado ako kwa ground. Kwa hivyo sasa huyo tukataziwe huyo. Kwa Kikuyu tunasema ni tukanelio sio. Sasa huyo tukataziwe kwanza.
Kazi kumuonia kanyoni wale.
Sasa akatazwe sasa.
Sasa and still now on this issue of the youth. Sasa leo unajua wewe ndio umebeba youth.
Yes.
So swali yote niko nayo ya youth ndio nitauliza. There is this other current issue about the LGBTQ, the lesbians, gays, LG, bisexual, transgenders and the queers. What's your take? Ama wewe utaongea nini kuihusu?
One, it is sad that we have to talk about these issues because they are issues that we shouldn't even be talking about in Africa. But they are issues that we are having to talk about, and they are very emotive issues that we are having to talk about because they are part of an agenda that Africa has been set up for. And they are part of an agenda that is being driven by outside forces. And these outside forces happen to have so much money to throw around that if you speak against these things, then you become branded the bad person. You become branded, you are not woke. You become branded that you are against human rights, but no, that is not the case. But what I think is that despite the fact that we should not be talking about this, it is a reality that we now have to address with finality. To understand that for the longest time it has been an issue that we talk about, then goes down, then inarudi tena, tunaiongelea, inarudi chini, inakuja tena. So we need a conclusive one and an objective solution to this one. To say sasa finally tumefika hapa na tumesema hii kitu tufanye hivi na hivi 1 2 3 4 5. And in my honest opinion, I think we should lay it to rest. Tuseme sasa kwa sasa katiba yetu and the framers of the constitution did not envision a situation like this. And that is why particularly articles like at the article 27 talks about having the article 27 of the constitution talks about, I'm trying to frame it in how it should be stated, talks about the human rights, sex as the non-discrimination. I'm trying to find the correct words. Non-discrimination based on various things, and one of them being whether you are male or female. So the constitution through article 27 says that there should be non-discrimination based on sex, or one should not be discriminated based on their sex. And this is one of the articles that maybe has been quoted severally, but which also people misunderstand because it does not talk about sex orientation. It talks about sex as whether being male or female, or gender. So the gender of the person, and even currently being whether you are transgender or not. But it does not talk about sex orientation in particular. So because the constitution has not envisaged such, has not foreseen, or even the framers of the constitution had not foreseen that, we should really think about what our priorities are. It is well and good that these laws are made by man and they can always be revisited. But the question is, what should we revisit first? Is it the issue of insecurity, development, or should we revisit the issue of sexual orientation? And you know, one thing I also don't understand is how the Western countries, the Western world was able to convince us that polygamy is evil, but homosexuality is a human right.
Yeah.
I cannot understand. So I think we should put our priorities right. And that is to say that tuko na shida huko Northeastern. Na si Kenya peke yake. Sudan wako na shida zao. Somalia wako na shida yao. Rwanda wako na DRC, every country in Africa including South Africa, they have their own problems. South Africa iko na issues za xenophobia, wanapigana watu ambao si wa huko. So what is really important to us? Should we address these issues of development first and trade amongst ourselves as African countries? Or should we now start talking about non-issues? And to me, honestly, this issue is a non-issue. And that I will just say it's
a non-issue.
Yes.
Why?
Because there are so many other issues to talk about.
So are you saying we first concentrate with the security issues, alafu tuache men to marry men?
We are saying, unajua for now, what we are saying, same-sex marriages or same-sex whatever is illegal in Kenya. Now what I'm saying is that this conversation about whether we should first legalize it is out of touch, because there are other issues that we can address other than going to now waste our time in such matters. The time will come, but currently that is not even part of our culture, and this is not even about religion. I know people have talked about this country being a religious one, whether you are a Christian or Muslim or Hindu, but another way to see it is that it is not even part of our culture. And every society has its way of doing things, which I think those who are driving this agenda, and which correctly put is the Western part of this world, should understand that it might be culturally correct for them, but that is not a conversation we are at a good place to start, because our cultures are different, and largely for Africa, our focus is different. Now it becomes an issue of human rights, where they say that the UN maybe stated that it is a human right. While that might be true, it is also correct to say that the UN is not a foreign body that maybe is in another planet, just as the Honorable His Excellency Paul Kagame said. These countries are part, even Africans are part of this UN, kwa sababu it is formed by nations, and we are those nations that have formed it. So it should not be an issue of using the UN to come and impose cultures that are not correct according to us, because they might be correct to them, but they are not to us. But now understanding the reality of the fact that people in this country, one are they are homosexuals, they are queers, they are whatever they are, they exist, and that is the truth. Knowing that, then it is only correct to understand how to deal with this issue, so that it does not turn out to be an issue where people are victimized because of what they say they are. It is good they identify as the LGBTQ, but while most of us, like myself, may not agree, and it may not be our business what they do, but it is good for us to deal with this issue in a caring way, so that we say it is not this person we are fighting, but it is this action that is not right for this constitution, and not for this society, not because of our religious beliefs, but because we are not at that place yet. And probably even we might never be at that place. So it is an issue of saying, well, you are a good person, but kindly this one wacha kwanza tuiweke kwa shelf, kwanza tu address security, hata wewe ukuwe safe, na uweze kupata chakula ya kukula, food prices to address, tuseme pale mabarabara zijejengwa, tuseme serikali inafaa kufanya hii haijafanya, tuseme wale nao wasiende kuharibu biashara ya wengine huko kwa streets. Hiyo maneno yote tuseme kwanza tumalize, alafu huko banditry ishe, huko kwingine nao watu wakule, huko kwingine damu ijengwe. Hivyo kwanza tu address hizo sasa ndio zamani. And if these western countries are really care, then they should find places that are good for the development of Africa to fund. Yes.
Now you've mentioned about security and banditry. Umenitoa maneno kwa mdomo. Was about to ask you, what is the current state of the nation concerning banditry, especially in the North Rift? It has proved to be very rampant. What is the current state, and what is NARK Kenya? Despite it being outside the government, how can it help, or how are you helping?
Well, first of all, I should put out a disclaimer and say that I do not in any way intend to speak for the party, because there is a spokesperson of the party, but still I have a personal opinion on it. And one of the ways that maybe I will recommend even to the NARK Kenya party, or even recommend to the government, is to, they are in the correct path, because this has been a thorny issue for a long time that needs now decisive measures. But there is also need to measure on intelligence. And it is a thing that has been said repeatedly, so that we do not have a case of what we had with Mungeki. You will remember that when the Mungeki issue was being fought, there are young people who are victimized, and others maimed, killed, without really finding out, or maybe fair trial, or finding out whether truly they were part of this illegal sect. But if the government were to use intelligence as one of the key or the driving force of this fight, so that they are able to understand that mahali fulani kiongozi wa hapa wa hii mahali ni yeye ana sponsor, ni anakoroga hapa na pale na pale, then to understand that kiongozi wa pale pengine ni anafanya hivi, there is a business person somewhere funding this, wajue wa investigate hata hii maneno ya meat trade, ambayo has been an open secret for a long time, that the sale of meat has been driving this war for a long time, because kuna watu huko wanataka kuuza nyama lakini hawana ng'ombe ya sasa kwa sababu hawana ng'ombe ya kutosha, wanapea vijana pesa kidogo, na pengine wanawatafutia bunduki, wanawaambia enda mtutafutie ng'ombe kwanza, tuende tuuze ng'ombe, na tuuze hiyo nyama, na tuuze hizo horns, na tuuze skin. So that is what I'm saying. There is need to invest in intelligence, so that the right people are found. You know, the problem in Kenya is that when such things are happening, small fish ndio wanashikwa. Sasa ni kama tunatibu symptoms na tunasahau kutibu hii ugonjwa mahali iko. So it is a good thing that the government has started this operation, and I'm positive that it will be fruitful. It will be fruitful. That one you can be sure. But now what my recommendation will be is that, so that vijana ambao mimi ningetetea wasiumie bure without maybe being part of it, na mama ambao wako huko na watoto wao, na hata wanaume ambao wako huko wasiumie bure. There is need to be careful with the matter, to introduce intelligence and to inject it correctly, ndio iende hapa kwa hapa. Hapa bunduki ikifanya kazi na hapa nayo intelligence inafanya kazi. Yes.
Good. Thank you so much. And maybe tukimalizia, I would maybe want to ask you about there is a comment that was put on the NARK Kenya's wall. They posted your photo na wakasema you'd be somewhere in a certain TV station na unaongelelea the current state of the nation, and somebody came and put a comment there akasema that Ngugi Ndegwa has a very great mind and he feels you don't deserve, NARK Kenya does not deserve you, na akakupatia maoni hapo na akakuadvise in capital letters akasema I suggest that he gets to another party ama another party ichukue that great mind i-exercise. So kuna hiyo offer, kama hujaiona nimekuambilia kuna hiyo offer. So hebu jibu huyo mtu.
Sasa what I will say is that from my heart I love the NARK Kenya party. And it is what my process of getting into the party was a very long one. I remember I interrogated various options that were there, including big parties that exist today and others that do not exist because zilikufa. Lakini sasa through the interrogation I found out that the issues that were represented by the NARK Kenya party are the issues that spoke to me. And if those principles of my party were to be implemented to the letter bila kukata na kukata, then that will be a very good thing for Kenya. And part of the party prayer, what others will call the anthem, but we say that our party prayer is that we say we ask God to give us the ability to be the true representation of our people's aspirations. And that is to say azma ya watu wa Kenya. That is our guide, that is our guiding light, that watu wa Kenya wako na mambo tofauti tofauti ambayo they need, that they should be addressed, including issues of social justice. That is where we put our energy, and we ask God to give us the ability to represent our people correctly and to represent the aspirations correctly. So I think I don't think there is any other party that can do that, that can be able to do that. Now hiyo ingine well, sitaki kuingia kwa hiyo. What I will tell him, umesema ni hii.
I think it's a he.
What I will tell that person is that nashukuru sana that you think highly of me, and that is the spirit I want us to continue in this nation. Generation yetu sio ya kufanya mambo hivi hivi.
Hata na Kenya inahitaji great mind.
Inahitaji great mind. Na hata kuna great minds kwa sababu for the longest time holding a party together for almost, is it 12 years? Since hiyo miaka yote, since 2006 mpaka wakati huu, the party is still running, and the party I think is one
That's
of
18 years, 17 years.
And this party still remains to be one of the well-structured party, that it is not about personalities, that I can differ with my party leader, I can disagree with her, and she also knows that. I believe she also respects that. She also respects that. I believe she also respects that I don't have to agree with everything that she says. Ni wapi utapata chama kama hiyo?
Hakuna.
That hiyo chama iko na viongozi na iko na structures zote.
Uza sera kabisa.
Iko na structures zote. Vijana wamekubaliwa kufanya mambo yao. And to drive the agenda of the party and the agenda of an entire generation. Nadhani ni mchezo bwana. Si mchezo.
Tutapatana 2027 sijali. We said that NARK Kenya is under the umbrella ya Azimio. So hakuna venye baba anaweza kuwa anafanya kitu na mama hajui na watoto hawajui. Lazima akuwe kwanza mnaketi as a nuclear family extended ndio mnatuletea uhondo. What is this big announcement that you have on Monday? mmekuwa mkituambia that kuna kitu naenda countdown tukisubtract siku. Utatupea leakage ama what is this thing yenye mnasema?
Hata mimi nangoja kuona.
Watoto walifukuzwa sebuleni hiyo siku.
Sasa hata mimi nangoja kuona. Iwe nitangoja kusikia. My party leader, Mother Karua, has not spoken. And also the leadership of my party has not spoken on it. So I will say I'm also waiting to hear what is on the table and what is happening. Okay. But for now, one thing that I have been emphasizing is that the youth must now forge their own way, even in NARK Kenya and even generally in the country, so that haitakuwa ni mambo ya just because someone said ati tufuate hivi, tufuate. We must now start, and that is what my leadership has emphasized, that we must interrogate and understand, is it helpful to our generation? It might be helpful to the past generation, but it is not helpful to us. So if it is not helpful to us, it means it does not help in the future. So if it does not help the future, then it should die with the going generation. Sasa yetu sisi to forge our way, and that is the most important thing to understand. Vijana si wa kurusha mawe. Kuna wakati ya kupiga kelele, na kuna wakati ya harakati, na kuna wakati sasa ya nation building. Na sasa hii wakati ni ya nation building. And we cannot afford to lose focus. We must be focused to understand that hii nchi ni yetu sasa, ni ya youth sasa. Sisi sasa ndio tuko. Na sasa hata hiyo in the future sisi ndio tuko. Na sasa watoto wetu, we will be answerable to them. Tutawaambia wakituuliza hapa, kwa nini hamkutengeneza hapa, hamkusema sheria fulani itengenezwe? Kwa nini hamkusema watu walari wajengewe barabara? Kwa nini hamkusema watu wa Nyandoma ward wapewe mahospitali na wapewe dawa? Alafu sasa mimi niseme, mimi hiyo wakati nilikuwa youth leader, nilienda maandamano, nikarusha mawe. Ni mzuri, lakini now we must be able to sieve, we filter issues. Tujue sasa ni wakati wa development. Hiyo maneno ya 2022, it is a bygone, and bygones should be hiyo imeenda bana. Hiyo imeenda. Sasa ni wakati yetu sasa, we reorganize ourselves. Tuseme sasa ni wakati sasa wa kuambiana ukweli. Hapa serikali ilisema hivi, imefanya kidogo, imekosa kufanya hiyo ingine. Sasa hiyo ingine wacha ifanywe. Haya, hii ingine serikali haijafanya, sasa hii tengeneza hiyo. Hii ingine imefanywa, tuseme good. Sasa ongeza sasa hiyo kama hiyo. Si unaona? So sasa tukisema hivyo tunakuza, lakini tukisema tuende kwa street tufunge biashara za Nairobi, sasa hapo itakuwa ngumu kidogo. Yes.
Thank you so much. And I think according to vile naona ni kama you will be a very frequent visitor on this seat. Kama sasa on Monday after the big announcement, si lazima tutakutafuta utuambie kunaenda aje. Tujue kama ni maombi sasa tumeitwa tena. Ama tujue mnataka kutuambia aje. Nimeona mkisema saba sijui zilifanya nini. Hiyo maneno tutaiona. Hata sisi tunangoja. Kwanza mimi nangoja kusikia. Nijue, because I also want to understand how that happened. You know, it is very sad if it happened. Yes, it is. Lakini tushasema imeenda hiyo. So now I will be waiting so that I can help in crying where there is need. Na tukikuita utakuja. Na sasa mahali watu wanahitaji kulia, niende ni comfort kidogo, comfort, waambie bas. Walia kabisa. Yatapita. Sasa next time tujipange vizuri. Ndio sasa 2027 iko pale inakuja. We run from it. By the way, maybe tukiendelea hivi 2027 itatupata bado tukisema bado haijaenda. Unaona ni vizuri ku accept, tusonge mbele tujue maybe what we can do in 2027. Thank you so much for coming to talk to these people. Asante. Na siku ingine tukikuita, I'm very sure you'll be here. Maybe you can give us a concluding remark, talk to your youth, so waambie something, tell them how they can reach you, and you tuambie Mwiroreri bye.
Kitu ambayo ninaweza sema tukimalizia ni kwamba as I have always said that, and this even goes to youth generally in the country and the people of Kenya, is that we must now look forward and focus on matters that are helpful to us as a nation, and also focus on economic liberation, so that we do not have to suffer in the future for our choices as a country, because we want to please outsiders. We must first of all focus on economic liberation, so that we are independent economically. Hii maneno ya kukopa tuache, and think of how we will have sustainable solutions, sio mambo ya mkato. So, and to the youth, the future is bright. Tuangalie mbele and do what is needed for this country. Yes.
How do they reach you now?
Sasa mimi naweza patikana pale Instagram, naitwa Ngugi Ndegwa. Ngugi Ndegwa kila mahali. Ngugi Ndegwa Instagram, Ngugi Ndegwa Twitter, Ngugi Ndegwa Facebook, Ngugi Ndegwa kila mahali.
Kila mahali. Uko TikTok?
Hata TikTok najaribu, but I'm struggling there. Hiyo generation Z hapo ndio
huko ndio watu wako wamejaa.
Huko sasa ndio sasa I'm struggling sasa to understand.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Until next time viewers. Bye bye.